Most e-commerce brands are burning through their Facebook ad dollars from outdated account structure from 2023. But here's what's changed. Facebook's AI now requires you to run a completely different approach when you're thinking about running ads. And in today's video, we're going to break down exactly how we're running these successfully. And by the end of this video, give you a perfect account structure that you can either restructure your campaign or transition out of some of your existing campaigns that may be underperforming or not allowing you to scale. If you're still using the old method, you're quite literally fighting the algorithm. And so I want to give you some confidence today and some real world experience. I've been running ads for several years now, and I've learned what works and what doesn't, and also what's working right now as we manage and run multiple different Facebook ad accounts and TikTok ad accounts. So without further ado, let's dive in. Now, you probably landed on this video because you're trying to get a little bit more understanding about your advertising account and seeing how you can restructure things to really accomplish one of two things. One, you're trying to figure out how to scale more profitably, or two, your ad account results have been fatiguing and getting worse and worse each and every month, and you're trying to find ways that you can approach things a little differently and start growing your brand and growing your account again. Now, whether that's a team member, yourself, or an agency managing your ads, this information is going to be really valuable from someone who's managing and looking at ads every single day. Now, this is just one of many of the accounts that we manage. This is a brand that I started with my brother. This is one of our ad accounts that we've spent, I don't know, around, 70, 80 grand, not really a ton, but we've generated about, $250,000, $300,000 in revenue from this account. At a pretty solid ROAS. So I want to kind of use this account as an example. As you guys know, a lot of your ad accounts over the years do get banned. So we did have a bigger account that had like 1 million on it. But for this purpose, this is going to help serve our purpose today and showing you guys exactly how these accounts are structured. And this is how we actually structure a lot of the accounts that we manage and oversee and are able to scale really successfully. So in 2025, what is advertising really about? Because when you peel back the layers, a lot of people are coming into this video trying to figure out what is the tactic, what's the strategy behind getting us to that point where we can start to see more positive results or we could really scale. And it's important to go back and think about the fundamentals here with advertising because as we know, over the years, advertising costs have continued to increase. And so we need to get a lot better at utilizing the ad spend that we have and creating ads that are polarizing and that cut through the noise, right? And so when we're thinking about our advertising, we need to be thinking with this mindset. And this is the shift that I really want you to make in your advertising approach. It's not really all about the tactics and about the little things that you can do to, save 1.1 here and change this option or this setting or use this AI feature. It still goes back to the fundamental importance of ads, which is your creative. And it's so important to mention this now because if you're thinking about your ad account and things aren't going the way that you want them to, yes, this ad account structure is going to help you, but your creative is extremely important. And there may be a factor here where it may be due to your creative not being good enough or not quite meeting the expectations that customers are looking for and customers are connecting with on social media. So if you guys would like to have me make a creative strategy video as well, happy to do it. Just let me know down below in the comments. But into this account structure right now, okay? So keep in mind, top of mind, creative is everything. Creative is the new targeting. But inside this account structure, we've got one thing going on here, okay? And what we have here is essentially a CBO campaign. In this CBO campaign that we have right here, we have a set of creatives that are inside each of the ad sets. And these ad sets are essentially the place where we're having our creatives spend. And you'll see here, if I come one level deeper, we have about 5 creatives inside of this ad set. And the same goes for the other ad set as well. And so when we approach our ad account and structuring our ad account, there's really like 2 main types of campaigns. And in this case, this CBO, because we've tested so many different ads before, we kind of understand what we need to make in order to generate a profitable return. And so these are our winning campaigns. And so the goal here with your winning campaign is you want to structure it so that at the high level, you have your ad spend being distributed to each ad set using the algorithm and using the enhanced AI and data points that Meta has to be able to kind of allow it to allocate that budget appropriately based on the results that you're generating. And so I've seen all sorts of different, account structures and campaigns and ad groups and this and that. And what we've found is that by setting up a CBO, you're able to use the campaign itself to be the place that houses all of your winning creative and all your good creative. And you can scale the CBO and scale the budget at the campaign level so that that spend gets distributed to go to the best successful ad groups and ads from the campaign level. And so this is how we have all of our winning ad accounts structured, is having a winning campaign that allocates that budget to the other creators and to the ad sets. And we'll talk a little about the dynamic between the winning campaign and also the testing as well. We'll get into testing here in just a moment. And so going back to some of the fundamentals here, most of you are probably familiar with a method called the DCT formula. The DCT formula has slightly changed since a lot of the AI features came out with Meta, but let's just take a look into one of our ads here and show you a little bit about how we are actually structuring our ads. So first and foremost, one of the first things that we're doing is the actual ads themselves are structured by having two different primary texts and two different headlines. And this kind of gives us a little bit of testing where we can control the variable a little bit and allow the algorithm to find which piece of text is going to convert the best. And so because we have two primary texts and two headlines, we're able to break down and see, okay, which headline and which primary text is converting the best. And so this allows us to have a bit more insight into what copy is working. Now, in this case, what we've found is video content works really, really well in not only nurturing your audience and moving them from top of funnel to bottom of funnel to end up purchasing, but also just much more engagement is happening at the video level. You can run statics, and that's a very important part of some of the ad accounts that we manage and their strategy. But we find that video content and creating content that is really authentic and non or low production and it has creators or just average people making content about the product and talking about different aspects of it, where it's product features and benefits, whether it's hitting on different pain points, whether it's them talking about their story and how they found this product and how it benefits their lives, whether it's a testimonial, right? There's so many different formats with creative. And like I said, we can make a video on this to kind of dive a little bit deeper, but I want to stay here with you on the ad account structure. Is you kind of want to have an ad set with 3 to 5 videos or statics within that ad set. And so what this allows you to do is basically test to see which one is going to work the best and allow that budget to be allocated to those 3 to 5 creatives. And so, when you're competing with winning creatives, right? So these are creatives that you kind of put into a campaign after you've tested them. This allows the algorithm to kind of find the best winning of winning, right? The top of the top creatives. And so what you're really trying to do is you're trying to test and then put them inside this winning campaign to then test the winners against the winners to outcompete your best results. And so that's really the main goal of the winning ad sets and the winning ads when you set up as a CBO, is you're trying to find the winning creatives out of the winning creatives, if that makes sense. So it really allows you to kind of like maximize performance on your ad account. And when you don't have it this way, like for example, I've seen ad accounts structured where the winning ads are inside of one of the campaigns we're also testing, or we have an ad set spending a certain amount and then it's going to, say 5 creatives, and it's distributing that ad spend across those 5 creators, but we don't really know like what's working the best. And so the best way to do this is to make sure that you have a CBO for your winning creatives. This is what we've seen work the best. And to even further validate that, I have a lot of friends in the e-commerce space who actually run and structure their accounts the same way. I actually asked them recently in preparation for this video, because I wanted to kind of get a little bit bigger pool of data, even with the multiple brands that we manage and oversee, is that's how they're structuring their campaign. It's the CBO is the winning campaign. Um, now, um, that's a little bit about the winning campaign structure. Now, you're probably wondering, we've talked a lot about testing, right? How does testing happen? How can we do this effectively and efficiently? And how do we go about doing that? Okay. So this is kind of the second campaign structure. Now, the second campaign structure, because this account we're doing a lot of winning, let's go ahead and pivot over to our testing campaign. We're doing a lot more on another account. Okay, so now we are inside a testing campaign. This is how I want you guys to set this up. And I'll explain a little bit why methodology behind doing this. So have you ever run a campaign and you're trying to test new creative and those new creatives just don't get any spend? Well, we've been in this boat many, many times, and we often question if some creatives only get, say $1 or $5 or $7 in spend, if they're not hitting our CPA, then how do we really know if that creative is not working well, even if the ad spend went majority to this one creative that didn't convert either? Do we turn off the whole campaign? Or do we turn off the ad that's taking the most money and see if the other one gets spend? But you're always left with like 1, 2, 3 creatives that just don't have any spend. And it's the way that we've mitigated this, and we've tested like different structures with our ad account and ad accounts. We've kind of like seen what's worked the best over the testing period that we've done in different account structures, especially with all the introduction of Advantage Plus being forced on you and all the AI features, is having an ABO campaign for testing is the most efficient way to actually know if the creatives that you're spending your time and money on are going to convert or they're not going to convert. And so the reason for that is because when we look at a campaign, if we run it as a CBO, right, we're able to run like 3 to 5 creators in testing, we don't even know which creators are going to work well, right? We don't know which ones are going to convert. And so when we look at this campaign as an ABO, we're able to spend a certain amount per day predictably to know that once we start hitting around our target CPA and our target cost per purchase, then we can kind of get an understanding of when we need to turn those off if they haven't gotten a purchase yet. And typically what we look for is we won't go right up to a CPA. We might spend like 2 times or 2.5 times CPA because we know that it's in a learning phase, right? So we have to give it some time. Now, you can be a lot more aggressive. Like let's say you need to get a conversion every $20. You could turn it off when it hits $20, but we like to leave it a little bit longer just to give it like $25, $30, $35 just to see if it gets a conversion, because once it has that first conversion event, it's going to end up starting to pull in more people who will purchase, right? Sometimes it doesn't, but you can kind of start to get an understanding of how that ad's converting, without just like one purchase, right? When you start to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 50 on that particular ad, you can start using those ads in a winning campaign. We'll talk about how to actually do that here in a second. So we set up all these different ads inside of an ad group. And basically inside of these ad groups, you essentially have one specific ad, okay? You don't have 3, you don't have 5, you have one ad per ad group. And what we actually do is use what is called a flexible media. So let's open this up real quick. So in this case, we have a flexible media ad set up. So what that is essentially running an ad with 3 different variations of that specific ad. So for example, you don't want to add in 3 completely different creatives here to test because it would kind of defeat the purpose of this flexible media option. This is like one of the new features in Facebook that is allowed, it's been around for a little while now, but like that's how you can test a different hook variation of each of the creatives. So then when you go and have a look at the analytics, you can break down the type or the creative that's actually performed the best based on that flexible media. And so this allows us to just see, is there a better hook that this video is helping its performance, right? Or is there a certain video that is generating more purchase because of the hook and the main content's still really good? And this allows us just to kind of test with 3 different videos, right? We still follow the same 2-2 method. The primary text, we have 2 variations, and then the headlines, we have 2 variations as well. So this is a really, really important part of how we test, because then you can easily turn off an ad and then restart a new ad group inside of that same campaign. So you're always predictably spending a certain amount on testing and then using those testing campaigns to then put into a winning CBO. So the question is now, how do we take a testing ad into a winning CBO? Well, it's pretty straightforward, and it's probably what you guys are thinking, is what you would do is you would simply copy the winning ad set inside of the other campaign, the winning CBO. And so what this is going to do is it's going to put it inside the CBO, and with all those ad groups and all those creatives, we can kind of run the budget up a little bit if we add more ad groups. So what I like to do is in the testing, we want to make sure that our ad spend isn't too high in relation to our CBO budget, because what will happen is if you're testing too much, your results on your entire ad account on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis is going to take a big tank if, let's say, your winning ad budget's 50% of your entire ad set testing budgets, right? If you've got, for example, let's say an ad's got $100 a day on each ad set and you've got 10 ads, that's $1,000 a day you're using to test, but you're only spending $1,000 a day on your winning CBO, well, then you're spending 50% of your budget on testing, which you should be probably using anywhere between 5 to 15% of your budget on testing in comparison to your winning or legacy ads, the ads that are doing well over the long term. So all you have to do is come in here and duplicate the ad set into the winning ad set. So it'll be pretty straightforward for you to do, and then you don't have to do anything else, right? What you do during that transition phase is once you duplicate it into the winning, leave both the testing ad set and also the winning ad set on, because you want to make sure there's a smooth transition into the winning and that you don't turn off a testing ad group that's in there that might continuously get sales. And so we leave it usually a little bit longer, maybe 1, 2, 3 days, wait till it picks up some steam in the CBO. And sometimes it could take a little bit longer just because there may be an ad that's just cooking, like it's doing really, really well, getting a ton of spend, it's converting really well. So you just kind of have to monitor those two things. And when the time's right, you turn off the testing one, and then you let the CBO kind of handle it. And so that's why you can run up the budget, the scaling budget in the CBO. You can go to, 2,000 a day, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 a day in the CBO if you're continuously putting more and more ads in from testing. So you think about this come Q4, right? You've got your ad account set up where you have this whole campaign as an ad set budget level where you can throw in creatives at, $20 a day, $50 a day, $100 a day. And then as soon as they start getting conversions and the ROI looks good, or the ROIs looks good, you can duplicate them into the winning and just run that budget up, right? Just keep putting more money behind those winning creators. And that way you're out-competing your best results. And this way, we've been able to do a lot of different things to ad accounts just by having this structure, and go from spending and generating, say 10K a month, or spending 10K a month and running up to 30, 40, 50K a month, or even 100K a month, just having this ad account structure. And this really allows you to have all of that focused data just inside those two campaigns, your winning campaign and your testing campaign. And all that data is funneling into those two campaigns. Now you notice that the initial account that we looked at, which was the brand that my brother and I has started together, that campaign we actually had creatives inside of the ad set level in the winning. And the reason that we did that is because those ads have just continuously done well for us. And so we almost know that we've gone through and remade those ads 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. We know that they're going to work, and we wanted to test a few different targeting angles around the headline and also the primary text. We split those ad sets, and we're just testing within the winning because we know that they're going to be winning. As you can see, the results were quite high. Now we've done, quarters. We've done 8 ROAS over a 3-month period, generated around 270,000. We spent I don't know what it was, like $20,000 in ad spend. So we've had really successful results doing it this way. And I highly recommend that this is the method in which you structure your campaigns. So one last thing here before we wrap up, and if you really want to kind of learn from someone who's actually in this with real world experience, who's generated over 8 figures doing e-commerce and running, hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad spend, millions of dollars in ad spend, then hit subscribe. I'd be happy to make more videos on helping you as an existing e-commerce founder to make more money in your business. Now, the last thing I want you to think about, and we talked a little about this earlier, is the mindset shift here, okay? So the number one frame of mind and goal that you want to have inside of your ad account is to have the ad account structured this way and really lean into how you're testing creative. And what I mean by that is when you're making different ads to test, don't just make one marketing angle. Don't just make one awareness level where you're only making product aware ads or you're only making most aware ads, because most of your audience is at that middle of funnel and top of funnel, and people who don't even know you. You're not going to attract new customers if you're not making ads that are more educational and helping agitate the problem. And so if you want to go in and dive into more of that creative aspect, please leave a comment below. I can make a video on it, diving into like how to actually think about ads. But you want to be testing lots of different marketing angles, lots of different approaches. If you're winning ads that have been working for you in the past, are just kind of starting to deteriorate and they're not working for you well, you need to start testing new marketing angles. You need to start testing new formats. And so this is something that we do pretty heavily and is a very, very important part of our creative strategy. And so if you're not doing that, please put your focus on it, get your creative team focused on it, bring it up to your agency, bring it up to yourself and start ideating around this, because it is truly super, super important that you focus on creative. So like I said, guys, if you want to learn more about e-commerce, if you're a dropshipper and you want to learn how to scale your business, then please hit a subscribe down below and also let us know your biggest question right now and we can make a video on it. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.